Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the women's Nike Mercurial Superfly 5 in the Spark Brilliance Olympic pack. Now included with the shoes inside of the box is a string bag. This particular string bag is white in color with total crimson orange strings and Mercurial branding there on the front. And then of course, along with the bag, you get the shoes themselves, which I have right here, in what is a very, very good looking colorway. Now you guys probably saw in the title and what I just mentioned, this is a women's variation of the Superfly 5, which doesn't mean women's fit, because women's fit isn't really a thing anymore. It only means that it's in women's sizing, which means that this still is the same shape and width as the men's variation. The only thing that is different is the way the sizing system works. So if you do want to wear these and you are a guy, you can actually do that. It's just a matter of converting the sizing, and that's something we're going to talk about in today's video. So if you want to learn more about this particular shoe, we're going to talk tech specs, performance features, take a look at the weight of the shoe, as well as how they fit and feel on feet. So all of that will be covered in the video. Stick around if you want to learn more. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, there'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link in the description that'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links along with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $300 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, a little pop-up on screen, link in the description, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. So to start things off, let's talk about how these things fit, feel, and of course how the sizing works, given that this is the women's variation of the Superfly 5. Now first off, I'm going to say that there is no physical difference between this version of the shoe and the men's variation aside from the sizing. The materials, the shape, the construction, everything is identical. The only thing that is different is the sizing. So I'm wearing these, as you can very clearly see, and they fit me perfectly just like the men's version does. The reason for that is because all they've changed is the sizing. So the way it works is like this. If you have a men's size, for me, I'm a 9 US, the equivalent women's size is achieved by going 1.5 sizes up. So a men's 9 US is a women's 10.5 US. That's what these are. That's what I'm wearing on my feet. And like I said, it is identical to the men's size 9 US. So if you are interested in wearing any of the Nike women's models, all you have to do is take your men's size in the shoe and go up 1.5 sizes. So as an example, if you're a men's 7 US, you would need a women's 8.5 US. So that's basically the way it works. The women's sizes go up generally to about a women's size 12, which is the equivalent of a men's size 10.5 US. So unfortunately, if you wear bigger than a 10.5, you may be out of luck in terms of wearing a women's colorway. But like I said, if you wear a 10.5 or below, you will be able to wear pretty much any of the women's models, given that, again, you do the proper sizing conversion, which is going 1.5 sizes up. So as far as sizing is concerned, the women's variation does run true to size technically. Again, you just go 1.5 sizes up. So Mercurial line, they run true to size. I wear my usual size 9 US. In the women's variation, I go up 1.5 sizes to a 10.5. I hope that is 100% clear. I know I repeated myself a lot, but I know some people get confused about how the sizing conversion works. As far as the overall fit and feel of the shoe is concerned, it's a snug fitting shoe. The Superfly 5 fits extremely well. No extra space on the inside whatsoever. It wraps your foot nicely. The upper feels really flexible and kind of natural on your foot. It does have that sock-like sensation to a certain extent. Very locked down when you pull the laces tight. And the sole plate, with its anatomical shaping, just does a really good job of holding your foot in place on the inside of the shoe. And again, just increasing the overall responsive sensation that you get when you're wearing the shoes in general. The heel area, given that it is mid-cut, is more open than what we got from the previous generation of mid-cut models from Nike. So in that regard, it is a little bit more comfortable and kind of just easier to get used to. But as always, it's really recommended that you kind of take your time with the break-in process and just make sure that you wear them straight into a game or straight into a free kick session or something like that. You just want to take your time and break them in nice and slow. As far as the laces go, on my left foot, I have the regular blue laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot, I have a pair of Orange Punch reflective SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. You'll find a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description that'll take you directly to the website. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check it out. Next, let's talk tech specs and performance. Now, like I mentioned several times in the first parts of of the video. This is no different in comparison to the men's variation, aside from the sizing and the colorway. The construction of the shoe, the shape of the shoe, the materials used are all identical. They haven't changed it whatsoever. So, for the sake of this video, we're going to go over all the tech specs that you should know. If you are interested in learning a little bit more, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen to my playtest video of the Superfly 5, where I go into a little bit more extreme detail as far as how the shoe fits, feels, and performs. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't seen it already. But like I said, for the sake of this one, let's go over the tech specs that you should know if you're interested in the Superfly 5. So the upper is made from Flyknit. I think most people know that at this point. And you can very clearly see all the intricacies of the Flyknit upper, especially in this particular colorway, with the combination of white, various shades of blue, and some orange as an accent. So what you're going to find here is a 3D speed rib texturing throughout the entire upper. So these stripes aren't just there for the sake of looks, they actually are part of the texturing and construction of the upper. So what you're going to find is at the thickest points on the upper, it's going to be about 2.5 millimeters, and then it goes thin down to 1 millimeter in the lower parts. So the blue parts are raised, the white parts are lower, if that makes any sense. So when you run your finger along the shoe, you do feel that texturing, but internally the shoe is completely smooth. So the texturing is only on the surface as opposed to being kind of more three-dimensional like you're gonna find on the Obra 2, for example. So how much of an impact does the texturing actually have on touch on the ball? Very little, in my opinion. What you're going to find is that the shoe is thin. It provides more of a barefoot feel, but because of the knitted nature of the upper, it's just going to have a slight padded sensation to it, which is not a bad thing at all. Again, still a very close foot fit, still a very close kind of feel on the ball. A very precise touch, I guess is the best way to put it, because of how it wraps your foot and how thin it actually is. It's also very flexible. Because of this particular design, the upper flexes kind of in all the right spots. There's lots of flex grooves, if you will, throughout the entire upper. And again, the touch that you get is very, very good. Now, along with the actual material itself, you do have a Nike skin covering for the entire upper, acting as your protective layer, and it also does provide a slightly grippy sensation on the ball, but very minimal amounts of grip. And then of course, ACC, all conditions control, is also a feature, as you're going to find on all the top end models from Nike, acting as your wet control element. That really isn't a make or break feature in my opinion. Pretty minimal thing that is questionable in terms of the impact that it has. Now, you're also going to find structure on the inside of the shoe in terms of just a very thin synthetic liner that doesn't really restrict the natural softness of the Flyknit, which is really nice. And then you also have flywire cables that are kind of difficult to see. They're within the actual pattern, but they run through from the base of the sole into the lacing system. So when you do pull the laces tight, it pulls on those cables and helps to secure your foot in place on the inside of the shoe, giving this a very, very responsive feel. So when you combine the fit of the upper along with the feel and fit of the sole plate, it really is a pretty incredible sensation in terms of just moving quickly and making changes of direction, stuff like that. As far as other elements of the upper, the laces run through the middle, of course. There is technically no tongue because it is all made from one piece of Flyknit, but the middle part, as well as the collar, is actually elasticated Flyknit as opposed to being structured. So the collar and the mid-cut aspect of the shoe is something that a lot of people are still really excited about with Nike and just different brands in general. There's no performance benefit to this collar. It doesn't provide any ankle support. It provides very small amounts of protection, just a thin layer of material. It's there mainly for looks and to change the fit of the heel area of the shoe ever so slightly. But if you're buying these shoes banking on this mid-cut aspect being, like I said, something that's going to put you at an advantage, unfortunately that is not the case. Internally, you do have a heel counter, although the general heel itself is cut differently from the previous Superfly in that it's a little bit lower at the back and a little bit more open. So out of the box, it is more comfortable and it's just easier to break in and get used to in general in comparison to previous mid-cut models from Nike, which is a very nice thing. The heel liner is a smooth synthetic leather with a decent amount of padding, more so than what we got in the previous generation Superfly. And again, the break-in process isn't as significant this time around in comparison to previous mid-cut models. Insole, fully removable. Here's a look at it, mesh liner on top, and it's made from a single layer of this kind of ortholite foam that just feels really, really good. It has a nice kind of spongy sensation to it, and it's got good thickness to it as well. So overall, it's a nice insole, definitely better than what we got in the previous generation of Mercurials. And then moving on to the Soleplate. This one does look very cool in terms of having this kind of frosted blue tint to it. But what's interesting about this particular Soleplate, dubbed the Nike plate, very original name, is that it's actually made from one single piece of material and it's anatomically shaped. So they use a special vacuum forming process. Normally a Soleplate would be made out of multiple layers of material, multiple layers of plastic, different types of plastics, kind of bonded together or molded together, if you will. This is one single piece. So what that allows them to do is actually add shape to the bottom of the Soleplate. Instead of it being completely flat and your foot sitting on top, kind of like my hand is on this desk. Imagine if my hand sunk into the desk ever so slightly, it would be a lot more difficult for it to move from side to side. I'd kind of be sitting into the table and it would create kind of a little pocket for my hand, preventing it from moving. That's kind of what's happening here with your foot sitting on top of this Soleplate. The shape to it is very minimal. It's not something that I think is as extreme as what a lot of people would imagine in their head, but there's little dips in the correct spots, and your foot, like I said, sits into the Soleplate ever so slightly, giving you this nice sensation of stability. Your foot just cannot slide from side to side. It can't move front and back, and it gives you a very connected, locked-in sensation to the shoe, which, like I said, only increases the responsiveness, and it's a very positive sensation. My personal favorite of the new Superfly 5, or the Vapor 11 for that matter, because you get it in that shoe as well. It's flexible in all the right spots, and it's a little bit strange for the first 5 minutes, but you get used to it very quickly. And like I said, it is a fantastic feature from a performance standpoint, something that is truly different than anything else that I've personally ever worn. As far as the stud pattern is concerned, this is the new Mercurial layout that you will get on all the Mercurial models, not just the Superfly 5, and it's very, very aggressive. They're chevron-shaped studs, all very similar in length, but obviously the positioning of them and the angles are a little bit different. But basically what you get from the stud pattern is immense bite, very, very aggressive traction when pushing off in pretty much any direction. And as you would expect from the Mercurial line, it's kind of the best of the best in terms of aggressive traction and what's available out there. This is, in my opinion, the best Mercurial stud pattern that they've ever put out. So if you've worn Mercurials in the past, which is quite likely, you're not going to be disappointed with what these have on offer. Being the firm ground layout, it works extremely well on firm natural grass plane surfaces. In terms of weight, the Superfly 5 is nice and light, as you would expect. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to weigh them for you today in real time using this scale, just so you can see exactly how much they weigh. Now keep in mind that this is a brand new pair in a women's size 10.5 US, the equivalent of a men's size 9 US. So we're going to throw them on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at a very lightweight 6.8 ounces, the equivalent of 192 grams. So just under the 7-ounce mark, which is nice and light. Are there lighter shoes out there? Absolutely. If you want the lightest possible Mercurial experience, the Vapor 11 is going to be lighter than the Superfly 5. But again, if you're just looking for a lightweight feel in general, the Superfly 5 is definitely going to provide that for you. And in comparison to the Superfly 4, they are actually a touch lighter. So again, if you want that lightweight kind of Mercurial feel, you definitely do get that sensation from the Superfly 5. As far as the colorway is concerned, I think these look really, really good. This is my personal favorite colorway of the Superfly 5 that we've seen so far. As far as the colors themselves go, they include white, blue tint, bright crimson, racer blue, and volt yellow. So the upper, as you can see, is a white Flyknit base. You have racer blue, which is kind of like a royal blue, as the horizontal stripes. And then as an extra detail, when you look really closely, there's a lighter blue kind of in with the racer blue that I believe is what the blue tint is. And it's just a very subtle accent that you honestly don't see from a distance, but when you're up close on the shoe, it is a noticeable little accent color that I think looks quite good. There's some variance in the shades of blue. The laces aren't quite the same as the Flyknit on the top here, which isn't quite the same as this particular layer, which isn't quite the same as the blue on the back. So there is a little bit of variance there, but that's kind of to be expected. There's a lot going on, so it's not super noticeable. You have the the total crimson, which is the orange color on the inside of the Nike swoosh on both sides. The ACC branding is orange, the Mercurial branding, the ring at the top of the collar, the little detail on the collar as well. And then when you stretch out across the top of the foot, there's more orange in the mid layer, which is kind of a cool little detail. And then moving on to the sole plate, the outside ring is white. The bottom is that kind of blue tint color, which just looks really, really cool. You got an orange Nike swoosh, and then they added Volt Yellow for the tips, because what would a shoe be from Nike without some Volt Yellow in it? So overall, really, really good looking shoe. There's a lot going on. These are pretty flashy, but a lot of people who are interested in the Superfly 5 are probably into flashy colors anyway. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you like how these look? Why or why not? And I'll leave it to my final thoughts. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the Spark Brilliance Olympic pack of the women's Nike Mercurial Superfly 5. If you guys are interested in more info or interested in a pair for yourself, be sure to check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description, or you can click the little eye in the corner of the screen. On that page, you will find Buy It Now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $300 retail price. If you're interested, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions at all regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comments, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. Other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.